Hi there folks, Borislav247 here with another Days Gone video from my sub-challenges series, where I show one specific challenge and break down all the sub-challenges that lie within it. And on this video, it's the DRIFTE'S RUN challenge that gets my full attention. Now, throughout all my time playing these challenges, I've never really taken the time to go into great detail about these sub-challenges that need to be completed. Well, all that is going to change, as I intend on showing all 12 challenges with this video series and then breaking down and showing every sub-challenge completed in as easy a way as possible. And trust me when I say this folks, a lot of these sub-challenges can be simplified. Now, before I go into greater detail on actually explaining what all these challenges consist of, I first have to change the information that is on screen. Because when you first go onto any of these challenges, the information that you are seeing is actually for the bronze level requirements. Well, in this series, it's only the gold requirements that I am interested in. So, I'm just going to take the time now to change these to show what is actually required to get the gold in all these sub-challenges. Right then, now that the correct information is on screen, let's take a look at each of these sub-challenges, and I'm going to start with airtime. This basically requires you to get 30 total seconds of airtime. Now this doesn't matter if you get the airtime by using the ramps, which is the easiest way, or by any other of the environmental areas that you can possibly use that will gain you height. And given the terrain that you're going over on this particular sub-challenge, getting 30 seconds of airtime is not actually as bad as it sounds. Now, the second challenge is slider. This requires you to drift for a total of 20 seconds. Now, this one can be taken out very, very easily, as you have a tremendous amount of time at your disposal in order to get the job done. Unlike one or two of the other bike challenges, Outride in particular, where you're dependent upon going through arches in order to keep the time going, DRIFTE'S RUN does not work this way. And because it doesn't work this way, this slider sub-challenge is probably one of the easiest sub-challenges you'll ever have to take on. Now the third sub-challenge is called Ramped Up, and this simply requires you to use 14 ramps throughout the course of one run. And very important to know, the 14 ramps that you have to use do not have to be different ones every time. And because of that, there is a very nice workaround that makes this job so much easier, which I will show. And finally folks, we have the Furious sub-challenge, and this is the one sub-challenge where time is not on your side. You're required from start to finish of the run to complete it in 2 minutes and 35 seconds or less. I do have a very good run route that gets this job done very easily and reasonably safely. So, now that all the sub-challenges are explained, I'll move over to the setup page where I will explain what potentially you can use if you feel you need a little bit of extra help. Because trust me when I say this folks, you do not require any of the patch perks or the rings for this challenge, but there are 2 rings that will help you immensely should you need them. Now then, on to this setup page. Now I have no intentions of using any of the rings, or at least I won't use any until the very end when I can actually afford some. But if you do have the luxury of being able to buy some rings, these are the 2 that you're wanting. They are Snake and Tire, and they are both designed to protect the bike. Because I'm not going to exaggerate folks, after the first sub-challenge that I complete, this bike is going to be smoking, because it is going to take a fair bit of damage. But you can still get the sub-challenge taken care of, no problem at all. So let's get on to the first one, which is airtime. Right then, on to the first sub-challenge, and this is airtime. This requires you to get 30 seconds of airtime, whether it be from ramps or just from any other jumps. And I like to start with the ramps at the very beginning because you do get some fantastic airtime off them. perfect example will be when I land here, albeit badly, but I've already got 6 seconds of airtime just off those 2 jumps alone. Now, these next areas are slightly more problematic, as in you just need to know where the ramps are, but there's no need to be rushing when doing this. There is a clock on the top right there that is going down, but you start off with 4 minutes, and that is more than enough to get the job done. Now, the area that I pass through here that's highlighted, I don't actually have to go over, because all I am interested in on this sub-challenge is getting the jumps. So it's basically just setting me up for that long jump. And then this one here, I probably shouldn't have had quite as much speed as what I did, but it's alright, I still make the jump. So from here, these next 2 jumps I'm actually going to start using again and again, because they're a nice safe area of this particular challenge. And on the way back up, I am actually going to take the time just to use a natural area here just to get an extra second or so of time. But from here, it is quite simply rinse and repeat. So I'm heading back up this way, a quick drift around here, and then I'm going to take out these ramp areas here again. I like these ones as well, because when you get to these 2, the landings on these 2 aren't anywhere near as severe as some of the others, and hence that is why all the smoke is appearing from the bike right now, because some of the jumps that I have been making have been pretty brutal on the bike. But as you can see here, folks, I've only got 2 more seconds of airtime to get, and this job is done. So this first one I do take a bit slower than normal, but this last one here, this will do the job nicely. So all I've got to do at this point is to actually get myself killed. And the beauty of taking care of the challenge at this point is that I can head over to this nearby horde. And there we go, thank you very much. Job done. That is the first sub-challenge taken care of. Oh, and a bronze score as well, which isn't too bad, and I should find that I will also get a rep level increase. Yes, because it's the first challenge I've taken on. Right then, on to the second sub-challenge, which is going to be ramped up. But before I take this one on, I just want to change the character from Deacon to Ricky. So now that that's done, let's do this. Right then, on to the second sub-challenge, which is ramped up. This basically requires you to use 14 ramps over the course of 1 run. So the one thing that you'll probably notice very quickly about this run is the speed at which I'm taking these ramps on at. And basically I'm doing this for 2 reasons. The first is basically so I do as little damage as possible to the bike, but most importantly of all, I'm making sure that I take these ramps correctly. Now, that might sound a little bit of a strange statement to say. When I say correctly, I basically mean that going over the ramps pretty close to the middle of them each time in order so that they all count. Because I can tell you from experience, this challenge has a very nasty habit. If you happen to be taking any of these ramps at some very unusual angles, that sometimes they simply do not count. I am simply eliminating the chance of this happening by just slowing down on all of the jumps. And the thing is as well, you basically have 4 minutes from the very start of the challenge in which to get this done, so you're really not struggling for time. You can afford to slow down. And basically, once I reach this section now, the next 3 ramps that I'm looking to take here, I'm basically going to go back and take them on again. This is a nice safe area, and yeah, I used it in the first sub-challenge as well. Well, I'm damn sure as hell going to use it on this one too. So at this point, I've got 11 of them in place. I only need 3 more, so that is very handy. I am actually going to head right back to the very first one up here that I took, and that will give me the 14 that I need. And as you can see, I'm not even halfway through the time that I have got, and yet I've only got 3 more of these to take care of. So now at this point here, it's all just about done. So And of course I have a horde nearby, and I'm going to take the time to use them again. It just finishes the challenge that bit quicker. So there we go. That is it done, nice and easy when you know how. And from here, yep, the horde here, they can do what they like. It's all good. And there we go. That is the second sub-challenge taken care of. Right then, 2 down and 2 to go. The next sub-challenge I'm going to be taking on is Slider, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this is possibly the easiest sub-challenge you'll ever take on. Okay, here we go. Slider. This requires you to get 20 seconds of drift time. Now, what I tend to do at the very start, I tend to take the pathway up here till I get to this road, and then it's just a simple case of sliding about and getting the job done. 20 seconds, it's an exceptionally easy challenge to take care of. The fact that you just do it on this particular stretch of road here just makes it all the easier. You've got virtually nothing in the way of obstacles, so all you have to do is concentrate on getting the job done. And there we go, the job is now done. So at this point, all I'm simply going to do is to head back up this way, and I'm looking for some freakers just to kill me, just to basically end this challenge here, because my work is done. So this will do nicely here. Yes, here come the willing participants, and this shouldn't take too long. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame Ricky doesn't have any grenades, or I could have made this a whole lot easier. However, one of them's got a hold of me now, so it shouldn't be too long here. Yep, very nice, finally. And there we go, that is Slider all taken care of. Very good, new reputation level as well. Okay, that is 3 down and just 1 to go. So I now actually have the option of being able to choose some rings, and although you don't require them to get the job done on any of these sub-challenges, I'm going to choose the 2 that are of most benefit, and that is basically Snake and Tire. And as well as this, I've just gone over there to show you the patch perk for this challenge, and it's bloody awful. So on to the last sub-challenge. Right then, the last sub-challenge, which is Furious. This requires you to take out this challenge in 2 minutes and 35 seconds or less. Now, one very important thing that you need to know when trying to take out this sub-challenge. Although you're looking to get to the end as quickly as possible, you have to make sure that you visit all these areas that are lit up and collect the bandages. And basically, as soon as you go into the circled area, the bandages are automatically collected, but you have got to visit each and every one of them. If you miss any of these, that's it. When you get to the very end of the run route, you simply will not be able to complete the challenge. So that is a very important one to know. But basically, this is the route that I take that gets the job done the easiest. I do take some of these jumps, but they're not always necessary. Some of them I just sometimes take because they get you on the right direction that you need to be going. This one here, I'm just happy to take because I can use it to head up to this section, and it just gives you a nice straight area to head towards here. The other way that I normally like to take is from the bottom of the hill section, and it can be a tad trickier because you've got more trees and whatnot to contend with. And you will notice there is a number of jumps that I am just ignoring because I don't need to take them. And this area here is always nice because you're actually on a track which will give you a bit more speed. That jump I most certainly will always take because it is essential to get you onto this section here. And from here, I'm doing tremendously well. I'm not even at the 2 minute mark at this point, and I'm just about finished. There is another freaker up here. That's okay. I'll just run over him. Yep, just over 2 minutes. I did that with a good 30 seconds to spare. However, I did only get a silver score, which I was sort of expecting. So this is going to have to be taken care of before I finish the video, because I always like to show how a gold score is achieved, even though this video is all about the sub-challenges. So, without any further ado, on to the final run for a gold score. Right then, on to the final run, which will get me a gold score, and this is how I intend to do it. I'm basically looking to get 3 of the sub-challenges completed to a gold standard within this run. And the most important one is the Furious sub-challenge, where I complete the run in under 2 minutes and 35 seconds. But I'm also looking to take out the Ramped Up sub-challenge and the Airtime sub-challenge to a gold standard. If I get all 3 of those in place, a gold score is pretty much assured. So at this point here, it's going quite well so far. Now, at this point here, there is a ramp to my left, but this is one that I like to avoid because basically it does slow you down considerably. There are other options as I get further down this area here. This is an area where I really like to take out quite a number of the ramps. That one there I'm going over slowly just to make sure that it does definitely register. No issues with that one there, but I am taking the time to come down this way in order to get this ramp too. So at this point, I know I've got 10 of the 14 required for the ramps, and I'm looking at my total time for airtime, and that's looking pretty good. I only require 7 more seconds of airtime, and when you actually see some of these jumps that are still to come, this should get taken care of within about the next 3 jumps at the most. So at this point, I'm just looking to head up this pathway here. Obviously, this isn't quite as quick a run as what I did for the Furious sub-challenge when I was just looking to take that out on its own, but it's still not that bad at the same time. And unfortunately, I do lose a little bit of control there, but it's okay. I'm just making sure now that I take this ramp right here. That is very important, because I always like to make sure that this one is the last one, and then I have a clear run in order to get to the finish line. And that's it. 3 of the 4 are in place. That is superb, and I should get another 2,500 point bonus because I took no damage. That is more than enough to get the job done. And there we go. So at this point, there's only one last thing to do before I wrap up this video. Check out the patch perk. Bike refuels 13% quicker. It's the worst of the lot. But that's the end of the video, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed it.